Welcome into Dallas Mavericks. Today, I am Harrison Graham. Hopefully tonight, we are celebrating a Mavericks win. Doesn't happen much these days, but listen, the next two games probably are your season if you're the Dallas Mavericks as they face the Charlotte Hornets in a home-and-home. So we'll see what happens here. Appreciate everybody for hopping into today's show. We'll talk about the upcoming couple of games for the Mavs, and then later on, a juicy rumor about a potential star. Could he become a Maverick? We'll kind of explore that as well. Let's get to Kyrie Irving here. He practiced on Thursday. Jason Kidd says, quote, hopefully he's good to go. So hopefully he does give it a go because he was not able to play on Wednesday night in another devastating loss to the Golden State Warriors. If the Mavs have postseason aspirations, obviously you have to win these next two games. You cannot drop one to Charlotte. What is it, Coop? 9 games left? 7 games left? 9 games left. This is it. This is when you got to make a move. And really these next 3 games, if you're Dallas, you've just got to hunker down and win 3 in a row. It's just that simple. You look at this next stretch here. Hornets home and home at Indiana. I get it's a road game. I get it's a back-to-back. To me, it doesn't matter. You've got to find a way to win those 3 games because realistically, at Philadelphia, at Miami, you'd be happy with the split there. So, I think 4-1 is what you'd like to go here. 3-2 at absolute worst, but you really got to win these next 3 games. There's just no doubt about it. And, if you split here and drop both the games in Miami and Indiana and go 2-3 in this 5-game stretch, you're in real trouble, man. It is not a given that the Dallas Mavericks will even make the play-in tournament. You look at where they sit right now, looking 7 through 11, and by the way, 11 is out. You're tied with the team in the standings that is out. You are in major trouble here if you are the Dallas Mavericks. And let's be honest, too. If this was a normal year in the Western Conference and the Mavs are 36 and 37, I'm not even sure we're having this conversation. Maybe they're fighting for 9 or 10, but still for Dallas, what makes it so frustrating is they could still get up to 6, potentially. They could avoid the play-in altogether, but as we bring in producer Jeffrey Cooperstein, the roller coaster continues for this team, and obviously the next 2 games, you don't win these 2, this team may not even be dancing in the playoffs.
You don't win these 2, you are hoping for the ping pong balls to fall in your favor in the lottery. It's going to be a crucial 2-game stretch, obviously. Hopefully Kyrie Irving plays tonight. You just got to take it. I know it's cliche. You got to take it 1 game at a time, win this game, move on to Charlotte, and take care of business. You just have to win these 2 if you want any chance of making the playoffs. And something tells me that they're not going to do it. I don't know. I don't feel confident.
You can't trust this team. That's been proven. We kind of joked around. Look, as long as they're in a hunt, obviously you would like to make the postseason, but you almost wonder deep down if missing it and getting that pick that's supposed to go to New York in the top 10, making a selection, and then really pushing for a strong year next year would be more valuable because Luka would have the longest offseason of his career since his rookie year. You would plan to re-sign Kyrie Irving. I just wonder if there would be value in that. Obviously, they're not going to do that. They're not going to try and not make the playoffs, but on the flip side, the West is so manageable this year. You still could get that false hope of, well, if they just get in, then maybe Luka and Kyrie could make something happen. But I just don't think the roster construction is there beyond those 2.
It's an interesting conundrum because we were talking about it in the Chat Sports offices, and basically, with Luka and Kyrie, you can beat anybody in the Western Conference. But however, it's probably way more likely that they get an impact player via the lottery than them winning the championship at this point.
Exactly.
So you're trying to find that balance, and I think if they end up losing one, God forbid, both of these games against Charlotte, the route might be to shut everyone down and let's see how many ping pong balls.
I'll be honest. You get 2 games swept by the Hornets. Let's shut it down.
I
am on record saying that right now. Look, if you split, different story. You're still going to be in the race. You get swept by the Hornets here. That is an absolute joke, and you might as well call it a season and send Luka to Cancun early. All right, will the Mavs make the playoffs? And that's beyond the plan. I'm saying, will they end up in a playoff series? Type Y for yes, type N for no. If they're the 9 or 10 seed, I'm not confident because I don't see them winning 2 play-in games in a row. But let me know what you guys think. Y for yes, N for no. Will the Mavs make the postseason? Now, if you're supporting Kyrie Irving and want him to be here long-term, why don't you go ahead and cop a jersey, chatsports.com/Kyrie. And if, God forbid, he leaves after this year, this will be a collector's item, so you might as well get it. chatsports.com/Kyrie. We got Kyrie Irving jerseys available. Go check them out today. All right, let's get to the rumors portion of the show. We'll bring Coop back in here in a moment, but Jaylen Brown. Could the Mavs trade for Jaylen Brown in the offseason? Well, he hopped on a podcast on The Ringer and was pretty non-committal about his future in Boston. I think he's got 2 more years left in his deal after this year. 1 more year after this year. Here's what Jaylen Brown had to say. He says, quote, "I don't know. As long as I'm needed, it's not up to me. We'll see how they feel about me over time and how I feel about them over time. Hopefully, whatever it is, it makes sense. But I will stay where I'm wanted. I will stay where I'm needed and treated correctly." And Coop, this is pretty clear, and by the way, is eligible for a 5-year, $290 million max, which, do you think a team would pay that, first of all?
No, but we'll see. I mean, I've seen crazier things.
I'll add this, though. This clearly stems from a couple of things. One, he's pissed that they tried to trade him for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Or I think he's even more pissed that that got public, more than anything, because you would think deep down you could almost understand it because KD's KD, but the fact that gets out and they tried to do that, actively tried to trade him. I mean, that's not something that you would like. And then number 2, I don't think he necessarily thinks he's a better player than Jason Tatum, but I think he's probably tired that he's just constantly in his shadow. He's like, well, it's the Jason Tatum show. It's like, well, I've been doing some things here as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And quite frankly, look, Kyrie's a great player, but if you could somehow get Jaylen Brown, I think fit-wise, he's actually a better sidekick to Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I've also thought it was interesting that Brown made these comments, and then a couple days later in a media scrum, I don't know if it was at practice or after a game or whatever, but he was asked about it. And he more or less doubled down on his comments. He's like, yeah, I'm going to want to be where I'm treated correct and I feel the love. And I don't think he's feeling the love in Boston, so I could see some movement this offseason. And we can talk about this as well. The Mavs would have to go through major loopholes to trade for him.
Yep.
But it's not impossible, and I think it's about 50-50 that he stays as a Boston Celtic beyond this contract. So
I think this playoff run will probably speak volumes. Say they have a second round exit, get upset by somebody. I could certainly see a breakup happen there, especially if he's adamant about being out, because if he wants to be out, you don't want to risk him hitting free agency if you're Boston. I mean, obviously, you look at his numbers. I mean, he's a great number 2. I mean, he's in that Paul George category of an excellent number 2. I don't think you can win a title with him as your number 1, but
he's an all-star number 2.
Yeah, he's a 25-point scorer. He's efficient. Not shot the ball great from 3 this year, but usually shoots the ball well from out there. Great defender, like you say there, one of the best two-way players in the NBA. I mean, you would love to have a player of that ilk next to Luka that can not only score to take some pressure off Luka, but can also defend as well.
Yeah, the defending part is what really intrigues me because obviously Luka and Kyrie are a great offensive tandem, probably one of the best in the league, even though they've played 6-7 games together. I think Jaylen Brown his defending ability would be like that of Dorian Finney-Smith, where he could take the pressure off Luka to not have to defend as much on defense, and he can save his energy for offense. Because right now, I see a completely gassed Luka. I see a Luka that's tired mentally and physically, and it doesn't look good for the rest of the season. I think if the Mavs could get that number 2 that could take care of both ends of the floor, it would take a lot of pressure off Luka going forward.
And it kind of goes back to the first part of this video, too, where, look, I'm not actively cheering for them to lose and miss the playoffs and get that top 10 pick that's supposed to go to the Knicks, but it's top 10 protected. But I do wonder deep down if almost it would be better for the long-term health of this franchise. You get a longer offseason for Luka. You get to reassess and kind of truly evaluate yourself. Because if this team makes the playoffs and, loses a tight first-round series, is that convincing yourself, oh, well, we just run it back and,
I don't think so.
I don't think that's the case. I think there needs to be some sort of a reality check of, okay, we made the conference finals last year, but we lost Brunson. We botched that situation. We like Kyrie next to Luka, but what does the rest of this team look like? How do you build around this team?
So the way I look at it, there's 4 guys on this Mavs roster currently that I 100% would want to be on the team next year. Luka, Kyrie, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy. Outside of that, I think everyone else is up for grabs.
Yeah, I know you signed Kluber to an extension. He'd probably be that 5th guy after that grouping, but like I'm just over the Dwight Powell thing. Like, I get it. He's a hard worker, this and that. He's had moments. But
time is
the
done.
fact that he's been a heavy rotation, if not heavy starter for this team for almost a decade now is kind of a joke. I mean, it really is. So, you've got to retool this thing with better role players. I'm over Tim Hardaway. Like, it's not a good situation. What do you guys think? Should the Mavs make a move for Jaylen Brown, type T for trade or P for pass? I mean, look, Coop, I would love to have him. I don't know how you pull that off.
Yeah.
Does Kyrie Irving in some sort of a 3-team trade, because he obviously wouldn't go back to Boston, in some sort of a sign-and-trade, could he be a chip? If you could get Jaylen Brown next to Luka, I'm in. You figure out the rest later, but we'll have to wait and see if that's even a possibility. All right, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in, and hey, go Mavs. Got to win these next 2, and then you go from there. YouTube.com/MavsTV. Let's make it happen. Spam MFFL, and we'll see you next time.